You're looking at a photo of the stone fireplace that is part of the main cabin at A. Rene. The photo was taken sometime in the late 1950s. This show will tell the story of its construction. Some background first. The family had been spending vacation at Gust Sequest Resort on Big Trout Lake in Minnesota. Gust had built the whole place himself, and Dad was impressed by the quality of his workmanship. Hence, Dad's cabin has 2x6 half-log siding and was to feature a large stone fireplace just like Gust's. Two things are noteworthy in this picture. One, the original siding was varnished but had already turned dark in some sections. Two, there's a lot of stone in that fireplace. Let's proceed with the story of how it was built. This is an interior shot taken in the 1950s before the fireplace was constructed. No fireplace, but at least a mantle-like shelf where it is to go. Underneath that rug, the floor is different than the rest of the cabin. There is a row of butted floorboards on the joist that is 2 feet from the wall. This was done to make it easy to remove them for the fireplace. However, when it was actually built, the hearth required far less than 2 feet, so to this day, there's a whole row of butts on the floor. If you allow me to digress a bit, I would like to comment on some of the furnishings. The long shelf that looks like a mantel holds 2 candlesticks made from soapstone with A. Rene emblazoned on them. The black picture is a copper etching made by Mrs. Freeman. I'm not sure that it's still around. When the fireplace was constructed, the mirror was relegated to a shelf in the outhouse. Ann and I rescued it, and it now hangs in our bedroom in Bloomington. The bench was made from poplar sticks and a couple of pieces of shiplap. It was temporary and is long gone. The curtain containers are orange crates, which we still have in the attic of our cabin. The Aladdin lamp still provides light for the Gehrmans, and the brown box is what a portable radio looked like then. It looks like the round table was gray at that time. It has been many colors since and is currently being stripped by Lois to once again be useful. That chunk of plywood over the table is actually a pull-down table for when we have crowds. Long gone. As I stated previously, it takes a lot of rock to build a fireplace. Where do you get it? On the islands in the north end of Lake of the Woods, some kind of rock is near at hand. Dad wanted good granite or granite-like rocks. I have heard that when Berger Anderson built the Fridtjof Anders fireplace, he dug rock out of a nearby pit. We found that on either side of the beach there was an ample supply of the kind of rock Dad wanted. The beach was our swimming place in the early years, so we had a rule that whenever you returned from the beach, you had to bring a rock. The pile you see is mainly a result of that kind of activity. Dad made a wheelbarrow using the wooden wheel provided by his dad. It was used occasionally to speed the growth of the pile. The wooden wheel is now a garden ornament in Ann's garden. Tuffer was the lucky one. She could swim whenever she wanted and did not have to carry a rock. The fireplace sits on bedrock, which is no more than 2 feet down here. The hearth where the chimney starts is 2 to 3 feet above the soil line. This makes for a very big base, which must be solid. We cemented some large rocks into the base, such as the one you see Dad hauling here. The dolly proved most useful in moving these rocks. Here you can see the completed base. We built the fireplace on this, and then eventually put decorative rocks around it. For the base we made a regular concrete mixture using sand and pebbles from the beach. For the fireplace itself we used a mortar consisting of cement, sand with pebbles removed, and lime, which kept the mixture from setting up too fast. At the beach we used a sand screen made out of carpenter's paper to separate pebbles from sand and to clean the mixture. Sand and pebbles were brought from the beach by wheelbarrow. You can see the sand pile, the result of many trips. I've included a picture taken a couple of years later because it shows the setup used for building the fireplace. We mixed all the cement or mortar by hand using the box you see. Originally it was on the ground, but somewhere along the line we got smart and raised it so that we would not have to stoop so much. The fireplace contains a steel heatilator with flue tiles placed on top of it, all of which got enclosed by stone as we built. Using a heatilator ensures that the fireplace will draw properly and provide some additional heat to the room through vents. Dad was the main mason on this job. I helped with the mixing and pushed rock and mortar up to him. In addition to trowels, he used a poking stick to remove any air pockets that might be encased. I can remember having a lot of time to read between performing my duties. We have now passed the point of no return. The cabin is open to the elements and the mice. You can see that the hole in which Mom and I are standing is shaped like a fireplace. I don't remember how many days it took to fill it in, but it was more than a couple. You have seen the completed fireplace from the outside, and I will return to that picture to end our show. I will use this inside picture to mention some of the features. You can clearly see the 4 vents that are part of the heatilator. Cooler air goes in the bottom tube, is warmed by contact with the steel sides, causing it to rise, flow out the top, and subsequently draw more air in the bottom. It's a help, but not a magic bullet when it comes to heating. The mantle is one solid piece of rock. It's only about 6 inches wide, but it was actually more than a foot too long, so we squared both ends with a hacksaw. That's not an ideal way to cut rock, but we eventually got the job done at the expense of 13 or 14 saw blades. We found this rock along the shore of Middle Island down towards Heaps Point. I have tried but have never been able to find the spot again in hopes of finding something similar. It's truly unique. The two-toned rock at the top middle looks like a crest of some sort. It has become the family crest, about all one can expect of a Swedish peasant background. The large rock just above the fire, we were told by the Freemans, was a piece of petrified wood. Again, unusual for the area, so we put it front and center. My sister, Lois, complete with Swedish clogs, is enjoying the warmth of the fire. Although the picture was taken, I believe, sometime in the 1960s, the fireplace looks much the same today. The hearth features a large, flat rock found along the shore. Smaller rocks and mortar form a wall defining 2 wood boxes. Dad put knotty pine paneling in the living room and fashioned a cupboard on either side of the fireplace. 2 small windows above the cupboards let in a little light and provide some ventilation. This is a recent picture showing Lois getting ready to entertain. I think she swapped her Swedish clogs for more modern Crocs. The fireplace is still the focal point for the cabin. You can see that the paneling has mellowed. Some mortar has crumbled a bit, but it has required relatively little tuck pointing. It should be good for another 50 years. This picture was taken in late December 1966. The temperature outside was somewhere between 0 degrees Fahrenheit and -20 Fahrenheit. Together with a pilot friend, we had rented a plane in Ely, Minnesota, and flown to A. Rene, landing on the ice a short ways from the cabin. To this day, the cabin is uninsulated and situated 2 or more feet off the ground. The fireplace was one of 3 heat sources we used to stay warm, that is, 65 degrees. You can also see a second heating device, namely the little airtight wood stove we borrowed from the guest house and vented through the fireplace chimney. Not pictured is a wood-burning cook stove in the kitchen. You can see that Davy Johnson is having a ball all snug in his Augustana leather sweater. And notice that the fireplace mantel is serving as a drying rack for a pair of gloves. Although the fireplace was not enough to provide all the heat we needed, it did provide the means for 2 heat sources, and without it, we could not have stayed warm. Here is an early spring picture of the fireplace taken a couple years ago. It's a massive piece of stonework. It is currently the only heat source for the cabin. But even if another heat source is added in the future, I'm sure that the fireplace will remain as one of, if not the, defining feature of the main cabin at A. Rene.